What's up, Starcraft fans? Last week I came across this video called Starcraft 2 Commander Tier List, and it's by a dude named Toxicspill. This guy makes guide videos, and they're pretty well edited, so I got pretty excited and messaged him, asking him if I could make a reaction video, and he gave his permission, and just to credit him for his due. So yeah, this video is a reaction to Toxicspill's video, so there it is. Let's get into it. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think this video requires a little bit of context if I
Alright,
want to be
context.
honest, because a lot of the
Sounds
things
good.
that I do generally don't make much sense anyways. As you all probably should know by now, is that Starcraft 2, in particular the co-op guides, have become a flagship of videos on my channel.
Flagship?
Now with that, I made...
Yeah, this guy did make guide videos for each commander. I saw some of them, and as I said, they're pretty well edited. Something that my videos probably can't have unless I hire an actual editor, which is gonna cost me money.
18 videos for all individually 18 commanders in the game.
He made 8. Okay, so I'm assuming he doesn't have prestigious because I made the guys for 18 commanders and then for the 54 prestigious.
So if you haven't checked any of the co-op guides that actually give any context to this video or any other video on the channel, I highly recommend it. It would really help me because a man needs to eat.
That's a context? That's more like an ad. Oh well. He said a man's gotta eat, so yeah, let him do his thing.
And also too, you could enjoy it, but a man needs to eat at the end of the day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how we're going to be ranking these all is in the categories listed above.
Okay.
We, of course, have all 18 co-op commanders below.
It's interesting that he chooses to use these icons. They're not
the
bad,
categories listed above.
but some of them are pretty hard to see. Like, for example, the Abathur one. I know it's Abathur because Abathur has that color, and you can vaguely see some features of his. This is basically the loading screen from the evolution missions, and I've used this before on some of my posts. So, but it's probably not easy to see if you don't recognize this image.
Of course, have
Phoenix one. I know that's Phoenix, but from a distance, it's probably harder to see. I would have preferred if he used the ones from existing tier lists. I know I came across a tier list on the same website he used, and it used the same images as in the character selection or commander selection screen. So I think it would be better if he used those.
18.
Like this one of Kerrigan. Like I had to squint really hard to find to learn that this is in fact Kerrigan. But yeah, I wonder why he chose to use this image. For Arcturus, he used the one where he's using the detonator in the Heart of the Swarm final scene.
co-op commanders below, as well as
What image did he use for Swan?
above. We have, of course, have all
Wait.
co-op commanders below.
Why did he cut off Swan's head? That's his most recognizable feature. Why would you cut it off?
As well as number 1, better than everyone else.
Haha, but okay.
Strong. Not too good, but not
Too good, not too bad. So he misspelled 2. And then I don't know.
too bad. Avoid if possible.
Avoid if
Meh.
possible. Wait, why is avoid if possible above meh?
And don't play.
Don't play, please.
Please, seriously, don't play these commanders. Now the first one.
Okay. Avoid if not too good, not too bad. Isn't that by definition meh? Maybe he's using a different definition of meh for me. Meh for me is not too good, not too bad. Like no reaction really. Kind of neutral.
Starts off on a pretty difficult note. Abathur. Now, for those who don't know, Abathur is my favorite co-op commander by far. He was one of the first ones I purchased, and definitely the ones that I have the most playtime on. Now, Abathur, by all means, is...
Abathur, I also like Abathur. He's very strong. Especially if you can get the ultimate evolution early. That is the absolute best way to play Abathur. Now, I understand it's difficult, and for, the average co-op player may not know exactly where to lure enemies into toxic nests. But once you get that ultimate evolution, it's gonna make Abathur really strong, and he's gonna bulldoze most of the way through the map. Even in the early game, just by getting the ultimate evolution. If you don't know how to do that, I made some guide videos, but the best guide video for that I've seen is from Lila. I will try to link Lila's luring video down below. If you need help figuring out how to lure enemies into toxic nests, I recommend checking out Lila's video. If you still think that's a bit too difficult to follow, I may make another one for all maps at some point. But let's keep going.
Not weak at all. Very, very strong. Abilities are strong for utility and overall strategic value as well, whether it be healing, vision, or...
Healing? Vision? I mean, Abathur is good in those things, yes, but that's not what I would call his defining characteristic. His defining characteristic is that he bulldozes through the map once he gets ultimate evolutions. It's like he just barrels through and just wins everything.
Or speed, and his unique mechanic to literally kill enemies and become stronger in every single...
Yeah, guys. Abathur's specific thing is killing enemies. With a thought.
...manner after that. Even getting super units for free.
Why did they just add that on? That's his first thing, not an add-on.
Literally by just killing enemies. That's it. However, his entire power is reliant on you being very aggressive, and the duration of the game dictates how powerful you can be. So for that alone, I would say that...
The duration of the game dictates how powerful you can be. Well, you can get your ultimate evolutions, all of them, as early as like 5 minutes, depending on the map and the enemy composition. So I don't think it takes that long, but it is true to an extent. The longer the game goes, the more power you will have.
Putting in anything less than the strong category is a war crime, and I should definitely be paying for that.
Strong? I wouldn't say strong. Now, I assume that he doesn't have any prestigious here. Yeah, he doesn't have any prestigious here. But I would say that Abathur is definitely top tier. Like, Abathur can solo Void Rifts. Abathur has the fastest speed runs. Once you get your ultimate evolution, he's very difficult to beat. He's a good early game, mid game, and late game. He can use a style of macro. He can use a macro style, or he can go for units. He can even use a hero solo style, but just going for the ultimate evolutions. I'll give him a pass for this because it's like 1 tier off from where I would put him. And, you know, yeah, he did still say Abathur is strong, so... Okay, I guess I'll give this a pass.
Next up we have Alarak, the literal epitome of damage and casualties.
Epitome? Of damage and casualties? I don't know. Alarak does have a lot of damage, but epitome? Who would I give that to if not Alarak? Maybe Vorzin? Vorzin is a lot of damage output. As long as it's ground. Arcturus also has a lot of damage output. Abathur, definitely Abathur. Dehaka, it's very difficult to outkill a Dehaka. So maybe I would give the epitome of damage tag to Dehaka.
However, different to Minsk, he actually does the casualties himself, not by sending them to their deaths, but killing his own people as well.
That's true.
Alarak is another very strong commander, and even though he's Protoss, and I normally don't give Protoss the time of day, Alarak is pretty damn strong. He has very, very little anti-air capability.
What? Very, very little anti-air capabilities? Did I just mishear it?
Pretty damn strong. He has very, very little anti-air capability.
He said anti-air. Slayers? Wrathwalkers? Ascendants? Deathfleet? Overcharge? I don't know, I would call it a lot of anti-air capabilities, especially if you go for Ascendants. If you go for Ascendants, it doesn't matter what enemy composition is. You just barrel through everything. Because Ascendants are that good.
and the units that are able to hit air are rather really expensive, being
Okay, that's true. The units that can hit air are very expensive, unless you're talking about the Slayer, which honestly sucks. Yeah, it's true. The units that can hit air are expensive, but that's why you macro up.
His Colossi variant, and overall his sacrificial units are pretty damn strong. The Ascendants are great as well, but they require hotkeys, so that's not happening.
What? What do you mean require hotkeys? You make guide videos but don't use hotkeys? My god, maybe I should watch those. Maybe I should watch those guide videos. How can I make a guide without using hotkeys? Is that not one of the most basic things? If you play Starcraft but don't use hotkeys, can I recommend you to play like Clash of Clans instead? Because that's the kind of game that you want to play if you don't like hotkeys. Not Starcraft. Starcraft is a different game. The difference is that you have a lot more control, but to use that control, you need hotkeys. I don't know, man. You don't like Ascendants because they require hotkeys? So, right off the bat, I think this tier list should not be called StarCraft 2 Commander tier list. It should be called StarCraft 2 Commander tier list for like people who can't play the game. Maybe I'm being harsh here, but I don't think you can call this a Commander tier list generally. If you don't use hotkeys, I would accept this as a Commander tier list for like for beginners. StarCraft 2 Commander tier list for beginners, or Commander tier list for low level players, because I hate calling people low level players, but honestly, if they don't use hotkeys, they kind of fit the bill, you know? You know what, let's continue.
So I think definitely putting him in the strong category, much similar to Abathur, amazing overall, but having one major crippling weakness.
Crippling weakness? What? My head hurts. Crippling weakness? I don't... His expensive Ascendants, which require micro? Is it like rudimentary micro? I don't know. I mean, he is strong, yes, but not for the reasons you mentioned. He's strong because of Ascendants, and because of overcharge, and because of the manual reset of Alarak's abilities in conjunction with his Empower Me. That's the reason he's strong. Not because of, you know, attack moving. Oh man. I mean, actually, if we're talking just Alarak himself, I would even just put him in the third tier. Like, not too good, he calls it not too good, not too bad, but you know what? Regarding this actual tier list, I don't know. I disagree with the way he labeled them. Because again, I think not too good, not too bad is by definition meh. And the Void of Possible is kind of bad. So I guess if you call it this way, strong isn't necessarily bad, but there's very strong, and then there's kinda strong. I would differentiate those two. It's a tier list after all. Like, if he's not very strong, he can still be kinda strong, but not, you know, very strong, and not weak either. Yeah, I would put him in, I would put him in kinda strong. But he's definitely not in the same tier as Abathur. Alarak has a lot of problems. None of them mentioned here. For example, his only mobility is the mothership. His late game takes a while to get to because you do have to get Ascendants. Not the case with Abathur. He has trouble sniping Void Rifts unless you're really good with your War Prism and Overcharge Micro. And they do spawn in places where you can reach, but Abathur doesn't have that problem. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Similar to Abathur, amazing overall, but having one major crippling weakness. Artanis. This is where the controversial stuff starts.
Yeah.
Now,
definitely.
My initial thoughts of Artanis is that he's a phenomenal commander, and a lot of people play him, but they're
my thoughts about Artanis is that he's easy to play, and like he's the Garden Shell guy in mutations ever since 2016. He's always been known as the Garden Shell guy. Now that changed a little bit with Prestigious, and his Archon dudes are pretty good at tanking, as well as taking fast expansions, and even do fast leveling if you're into that. If you're into that with the Cradle of Artanis thing.
There is a major issue. See, for those who don't know Commander, a lot of people play him, but there is a major issue.
Okay, let me know.
See, for those who don't know, Artanis specializes in rapid redeployment of his troops. He has
redeployment or rapid deployment. Redeployment means he deploys them somewhere else, but rapid deployment is probably what you mean here.
Has the ability to place a power field anywhere on the map as long as he has vision, and deploy any troops from any factories in larger numbers.
That's true.
Every single factory, vehicle, air, or infantry are able to deploy 3 units. The problem is the troops that are deployed from those power fields aren't exactly great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Protoss have very strong units and very expensive units. For a person that has a lot of variety,
his videos are well edited. I'll give him that. I've seen his guides before, and they are very well edited. Again, something that my videos probably can't be unless I hire an actual editor. I really like the work that he does in editing. I just wish he put more, into the actual content.
He doesn't have a lot of good variety. So I would say that he is definitely, he is a meh at best, because all of those abilities build him up to be utterly disappointed by the troop variety.
I agree. So this is I don't think this is controversial at all. This is the first one I actually agree with. He is meh. Like, I can think of ways to buff his units. In fact, spoiler alert, I can think of ways to buff his units. And that might be coming soon, I hope, depending on how fast I can write the script. But yeah, I agree in general with where he put Artanis. He is in fact meh. Even if he uses top bars, he's still kind of meh. So yeah, I agree with this one.
That name doesn't suit with me. Hold on a minute.
Meh-ish?
There we are. That works.
What does meh-ish even mean? What does meh-ish even mean?
That is right. Next up, we have...
That is right, okay.
Dahaka. Now, the thing is about Dahaka is that he is extremely...
Oh! He sorted these alphabetically. That's why, that's why he had Abathur Alarak. Okay. He sorted these alphabetically. Now I get it.
Powerful, and he's a very respectable leader, much like Alarak, because he actually leads his forces. He doesn't sit back and make decisions. He's in the field, and I don't
know. If you're there's a distinction between a general and a captain. Like, if you lead your forces generally to battle, you're a great captain. You're a great leader, yes. But if you want to be an actual general, the general prefers to stand behind the action and seeing what is happening everywhere. Of course, there are exceptions, like, for example, Julius Caesar personally led his forces, but yeah, generals in general tend to like to see, the macro side of things, the overall. And you can say the same thing as Starcraft. Like, to be a better Starcraft player, you can differentiate yourself from the average player by, having better macro. That's how you get up in leagues in 1v1. Same thing in co-op. Like, you can just be a top bar guy or a hero solo guy like Tychus, but if you want to be better like at all commanders, you need to have the macro.
Very much respect that. His units are very strong and pretty large in variety, since they all can evolve into a primal version of Zerg, which is kind of weird because normally they'd have to go back in time in order to evolve into primal. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's flawed logic there, if I'm going to be honest.
I can agree with that.
His abilities, super hard hitting and super strong, very tanky, but
That's why I called Dehaka the epitome of damage dealing, not Alarak. Because Dehaka, it's very difficult to outkill Dehaka between his top bars, his units, his just the primal the creeper hosts, and he's very difficult to outkill. He is the epitome of damage output.
Duration is a little bit of a problem. Dehaka, super customizable and really strong, can one-shot hybrids with his abilities.
Oh no, you don't want to one-shot hybrids. That's bad advice. Because Dehaka's Devour ability resets based on the health of the unit you devour. If you devour a hybrid, that's going to set your ability back by a whole minute, and you can't use it for, another minute. So my advice for Devour is to use it on smaller or damaged units. Like, you can devour a hybrid, yes, but you have to get its health down first to, like, the lowest amount possible. Like, if you can get down to 1 health, that's great. You can devour it and get the cooldown pretty much instantly. But you don't want to devour a full health hybrid, a mothership, a Loki, a battlecruiser, a Thor. You don't want to devour those because that will reset your cooldown by a whole minute. What you want to do is damage the first or devour smaller. Actually, you want to devour the psionic units like Infestors, Science Vessels, Ghosts, Warp Prisms, Dark Templar, High Templar, Archons. Maybe not Archons, maybe damage Archons. But the general idea is you want to devour Archons. You want to devour psionic units because those give you the cooldown reduction and the magic fart, which I've talked about before, damages all nearby enemy units around it. So it's like huge damage dealing, not just a single target, but area damage. And it clears the way for your forces, and if you have the right prestige, it will even buff friendly units. So yeah, you want to devour the psionic units, not the hybrids.
It's kind of crazy. I definitely think he does belong in the strong category. Phoenix. I guess Talendar, but most people know him by Phoenix, so I don't care if you change your name, you're Phoenix. Phoenix is a little...
pretty much. A lot of people call him Talendar, but I mean, not only is he Phoenix in the comp missions itself, but for most of the Legacy of the Void campaign, he was in fact called Phoenix. I know he's an AI, and like he only has the personality of Phoenix, but that's what he was known as. He can call himself anything he wants, but character development wise, he was Phoenix for most of Legacy of the Void, and like he only really changed his name in a cutscene. Like in that one cutscene did he change his name, and that's towards the end of the campaign. There was not much character development after that, so he didn't really get to make Talendar stick. He's more Phoenix.
A little bit of a complicated issue because he's Protoss, but I can't say that he's not bad either. I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about Phoenix.
Oh, I do have a lot of bad things to say about Phoenix, especially if you don't have prestige. Like, if you don't have the prestige, he relies too much on macro. Like, you need to use like conservators in his army. He doesn't have like Void Rift sniping capabilities, the ones that are at the far end of the map. Early game Void Rifts, yes, he has very good ability to kill early Void Rifts, but the far ones, he doesn't have a strong static defense. I guess his champs are good units, but he's heavily disadvantaged by mutators like microtransactions, Black Death, Fatal Attraction. Like, a lot of mutators will hamper his ability to play, but that doesn't make him a bad commander. It's just, stuff that I can say about him that aren't necessarily great.
His hero leads the fight, so that's already a plus. He's super customized.
Is this how we're measuring commanders? Good luck, Rainer.
The Dragoon for damage. The Praetor, if I remember correctly his name, or if I'm even pronouncing it right, is for absolutely tanking, and you have his...
It's still also good for damage against like Zergling-based compositions. Zergling and Marine-based compositions is pretty good for that. But yes, it is in fact a tank.
Arbiter for support, which is very strong, and you can swap between them relatively easily, and they're all super tanky.
That is correct.
These troops are pretty damn strong. Also has the ability to quite literally...
I think most of Phoenix's units are basically 1v1 units with a minor buff. Yeah, I think his units are mostly 1v1 units with a minor buff.
Ignore the tech tree. He can start producing immortals right in the beginning of the game, which is insane. I would say that we definitely have our first S tier, or better than everyone else.
What? He put Phoenix on the highest tier, above Abathur, above the Haka, because he can skip the tech tree. I'm speechless. I mean, if you have prestigious, if you're talking about the second prestige of Phoenix, Network Administrator, if you can rush out Super Kaldi, then yes, he is in fact the highest tier. But the reason you gave was because he can skip the tier list. And without prestige, my goodness. Without the prestige, he's like in the middle. In that not too good, not too bad tier, whatever you want to call it. Not the highest. I'm struggling to think. What justifications did he give? He has a hero that leads. He has the power to skip the tech tree. That's it? That doesn't really do anything.
Ha ha ha. Another co-op commander that I'm gonna be a little bit hard on, and that of course is Karax, but don't take that the wrong way. I'm hard on him in a different way. You know what? Let's ignore the fact that I said that. Karax is a bit of an interesting situation, because Karax is a very strong commander, and there's no denying that.
Saying that Karax is a very strong commander without prestigious, I don't know, man. I don't see anyone with prestigious who doesn't use prestigious on Karax. I don't know, man. Without prestigious, he's kind of Artanis tier. He's good at defense, but not much else.
His abilities for long-range deployment of his damage is very strong. Very fast ability regeneration rate, some of the highest in the game, as well as the...
That's on his video, by the way. I don't put that stuff on my... I don't put that clicky stuff on my video.
Ability to defend to an obsessive amount. I mean, the ability to instantly build all of his defensive structures and pylons instantly is very strong.
Yeah.
His basic troops, however, is lacking a lot. And his only really good units, especially, is his carriers at our tier 3 and are very, very expensive.
That's true. That is correct. That's why you get the prestige. That's why you get prestigious.
Now, normally I would rank Karax somewhere in the strong category. However...
What? No!
His basic troops are not that great, even though they sound like they have great abilities. I would say he definitely belongs in the not good but not bad, even though his defenses can be rapidly built and easily used in a slow advance.
Look, if we were talking about prestigious, then yeah, Solarite, Celestial, and Templar Parent can be good. I haven't really made a tier list for prestigious myself, but they can be good. But without prestigious, he's kind of lower tier, to be honest. Like, I guess he's technically lower tier now. He's below the 50% of the commanders selected so far. But I wouldn't put him, you know, at like a higher, like on the tiers itself. He's not on the he's not on an above average tier. In fact, I would call him below average compared to the other commanders. He's easy to use if you just want to sit at home, build static defense, and do nothing else. But I definitely wouldn't put him in the above average tier.
Not every game is going to favor that at all. And there's definitely going to be instances where Karax is going to be basically unusable in certain maps.
That's true.
We have Kerrigan. As you can tell by the picture, I'm going to be pretty negative about her.
What? Why? Kerrigan's an amazing commander. What did Is that... What? Is that why you used that image? My goodness.
Now, don't get me wrong, her hero unit is pretty damn strong. I wouldn't say
you call that the plus for Phoenix.
The strongest in the game, but one of the strongest by far. Her troops are super damn expensive. You're
one of the strongest by far. Okay, bit of an okay.
Rely on her commander a little bit too much, if I'm gonna be honest.
Rely on her commander a bit too much. I don't know. Have you heard of Omega Worms? Have you heard of, you know, macro? Because I do get an army for Kerrigan. Because I can. It sounds like a you problem, to be honest. If you can't get an army as Kerrigan, that's kind of a you problem.
So I would say this definitely belongs in our don't play category. Because
what? Hold up. What? He put Kerrigan in the absolute lowest tier? My goodness. Why? Just because you can't get an army? Oh no. Why would you put Kerrigan in that tier? I mean, I get it. Kerrigan's difficult to level, but once you hit a real power level with Kerrigan, once you hit mastery levels, she becomes really good. You can use Omega Worms, put Hydros in them. You can go for Mutalisks. You can go for just Mass Omega. You can go for Kerrigan Hero Solo. There's a lot of ways to play Kerrigan, and I believe I've done a few solos of mutations as Kerrigan. But why would you say don't play, please? You have the passive buffs with her Malignant Creep, with Detection on her Omega Worms, and a pretty decent army, and the hero has Immobilization and the ability to use Assimilation Aura to get money for more army. But why? That's not justification at all to put her in don't play, please. What? My goodness.
There's not a lot of people who can play Kerrigan, and
there's not a lot of people who can't play Kerrigan. Is what you'd be saying. My goodness.
Really do a lot of work. And now we have Minsk.
What? That's it? I don't know, man. It sounds like a you problem. What would you put Kerrigan in the lowest tier without putting enough justification to call her that? You didn't even say it was controversial. You talked about it as if it was like universally agreed that Kerrigan's a bad commander, which she's not. She's one of the stronger ones. You put her in the lowest tier without justification. As if telling people that she's a bad commander, what she absolutely is not. She's one of the commanders I just kind of roll into and just like, yeah, I'll probably crush this mission because I have Kerrigan. Oh. Wow. This list is something else.
Could give Alarak a run for his money, and I'm not even going to discuss it, because anyone who has played Starcraft 2 before knows this. Not too much more that needs to be.
Okay. This has 4,000 views. And he doesn't even justify it. For context, guys, my videos usually get around like 800 to 1,000 views these days. And he has 4,000 views doing this. It makes me wonder if I should maybe, you know, make bad tier lists for views. Because he's definitely doing something right. He's getting the views, but the actual content, he doesn't give justification for putting Kerrigan in the lowest tier. Now, Arcturus is very strong. Don't get me wrong, Arcturus is very strong. But the strongest? Over Abathur? Over Dahaka? I'm not sure. Over Kerrigan?
Anyone who has played Starcraft 2 before knows this. Not too much more that needs to be said. Who has give Alarak a run for his money, and I'm not even going to discuss it, because anyone who has played Starcraft 2 before a run for his money and really do a lot of a little bit too much, if I'm gonna be honest. So I would say this definitely belongs in our don't play category, because there's not a lot of people who can play Kerrigan and really do a lot of work. And
my goodness! There's not a lot of people who can play Kerrigan and do a lot of work. My goodness! Now that is just... I bet you I can find 50 people who can play Kerrigan and do tons of work.
Now we have Minx.
And that's just who I know of.
Could give Alarak a run for his money, and I'm not even going to discuss it, because anyone who has played StarCraft 2 before knows this. Not much more that needs to be said. Next up we have Mirahan and...
There's no justification. What? He just said, oh, I know Arcturus. Let's just put... That's not what a tier list is supposed to be. If you're going to make a video about a tier list, you have to talk about why he's the best. I would at least like to hear a justification for why you put him there.
Not much more that needs to be said. Next up we have Mirahan and Matt Horner. Now they're an interesting pair to say the least. Their troops are hit or miss. I mean, their main flagship, quite literally, are galleons, who are long range, have a little bit absurd with missile tracking, if I'm gonna be honest, and mobile
that's true.
factories.
Yeah, that's true.
Now this is of course very strong.
But as for flagship, I would say it's the battlecruiser, the one with the knife. The galleon is more of a production structure that just happens to shoot.
But an utter reliance on your factories literally being exposed to the enemy can be quite alarming.
That's true.
The abilities are super hard hitting, but much like the Haka, having a very large drawback to their duration or their use or expense. There's just something about
duration? What did he say about the Haka's duration? What?
Large drawback, hard hitting, but much like the Haka,
wait.
quite alarming. The abilities are super hard
so
hitting,
top bar
but much
abilities.
like the Haka, having a very large drawback to their duration.
He's saying top bars, the Haka's top bars have low duration. Don't you then set your masteries to passive to active duration and then space them out. Don't use them all in the same spot.
Or their use or expense. There's just something about their abilities that are strong and something that is equally making them pretty deplorable. So I would say that he definitely belongs in the meh-ish, because everything that's super powerful has a huge drawback to it. Next up,
you know what? Yeah, this is right. Haden Horner is right about the same tier as Artanis. You know what? I agree with this. The justifications he gave are solid. You rely on your production structures to be in the fight. The top bars are good, but they don't last long. I just wish he also talked about how expensive the areas are, because now if you want to talk about expensive, now those are expensive. 640, I believe, or yeah, something like 500 for 500 gas for a wraith. Now that's super expensive compared to like Kerrigan's Mutilus, which cost 100 gas without the masteries. Now that is actually expensive, and his units are like trying to be, or their units are trying to be binlings, but they don't refund a lot. They refund a part of it, and they don't even explode that well. They do buff, but yeah, you can use Haden Horner well, but in terms of tier lists, yeah, this is about right for Haden Horner. I agree with this one. You did give the correct justifications too, so yeah, good job on Haden Horner.
Next up we have Nova, the epitome of elite units paying way too much for your troops, but having them do a lot of work as well.
I would technically put Zeratul and Tychus in that conversation, but I can't really fault you, because Nova's forces are literally called elite forces, so yeah, I'll give you a pass for that.
Now, my main problem with Nova is not her troops and how expensive they are. That's completely reasonable, and the fact that you can deploy them anywhere on the battlefield is pretty damn amazing.
That's true.
Her hero unit is solid, but it's the cooldown. Because even though you could afford multiple units, there's a cooldown on how long you can get those troops. So if you build an army and lose the army, you're basically out of the game.
I agree with this.
For a pretty long time. And there are some ways you can reduce that cooldown, but it's...
I haven't actually thought of that before. Like, if I'm thinking of drawbacks for Nova, I always am kind of waiting on the cooldown on Liberators, but I never actually thought of saying, oh, I wish I had faster Liberators. Wait, maybe I did actually say, but I didn't see that as an actual issue with her. I mean, because maybe I see it as fair, I mean, imagine if your Liberators had no cooldown, you'd basically just end the map right away. But then again, that's what Abathur basically is. So yeah, in regards to the cooldown, you're absolutely right. I agree with it, and that you hit the nail on the head with saying that that is in fact her weakness.
It's not good enough. So I would say that she definitely in the meh-ish.
What? Come on, man! You were on such a roll. You did so well, calling out her weakness, but you didn't talk about her strengths. Liberators delete main objectives. Siege tanks with their spider mines delete attack waves, along with the airstrike and nuke. Oh, come on, man! Her Goliaths can stun carriers and battlecruisers. Is that not enough for you? My goodness!
Because she does have some powerful...
Meh-ish, she's one of the stronger commanders. I would at least put her in the above average tier. I know she's not the Haka level. She's probably right there with Alarak. But below Karax? That's a travesty. That's an injustice. Why would you put Nova in meh-ish? Just because you can't macro up your forces and use your top bars. That's not a Nova problem, that's a you problem.
Abilities, but there are some huge drawbacks. Next is Raynor, and
oh man. Oh man, this tier list.
Raynor's a bit of a complicated issue, because he is the king of none, but the king of all. Now what I mean by that is he has amazing strong units that are expensive. He has a...
What? Amazing strong units that are expensive? We're talking about Raynor, right? Not Nova?
Extremely strong units that are cheap. And
okay, extremely strong units that are cheap. Okay, those are Bailings. But I guess you can kind of count Marines there. They're strong, but I wouldn't call them extremely strong.
Relatively flimsy. He has
That's
units
true.
that are good for defense. He has troops that are
That's
good
true.
for offense.
Yes.
He's overall a very versatile commander, and arguably the most versatile commander in the game.
Most versatile? No, that's probably Abathur. Actually, that's probably Stetboy. Stetboy is the most versatile commander. He has an S for basically everything. And like, if you're gonna do Brutal Plus, my recommendation as a commander is Stetboy, because he has answers for basically anything.
By far. With him being a master of none, but simultaneously a master of all, does put him lower on the category since nothing really shines about him.
Oh my. This is like a commander tier list made by someone who doesn't actually know the commanders. Oh man, this guy is bordering on dangerous. He did luck into putting Raynor in a close, like, I would put Raynor above Han and Horner, and definitely Artanis. Maybe not Nova, definitely above Karax, or with Prestigious on the same, well, with Prestigious Karax is probably better. But I wouldn't put Raynor above Kerrigan. The Kerrigan one still gets me. I'm so triggered by him putting Kerrigan so low. I don't understand. I don't understand why he... I guess I do understand why he felt the need to make this tier list. It's content. He said before, a man's gotta eat, so he did make it, but it would be nice if he put more effort into actually understanding the commanders before he made this tier list about them, and getting, like, them so wrong. Like, the reason he put Kerrigan so low is because he doesn't know how to use her, and he can't macro. Probably. Just the fact that I hear that he can't use hotkeys is probably why he doesn't use Omega Worms. He doesn't know about the spider mines for Raynor. He hasn't talked about all the various cheeses pulled off by Lila, and how it doesn't matter if Lila can do it because actually no one else can. I mean, he kind of lucked into putting Raynor in a close-ish tier, but if you can macro, he's easily above Artanis and Han and Horner. If you can macro at all, Raynor's easily above Artanis and Han and Horner. Maybe not Nova though. Nova should be higher than that.
And his prestiges are really that great to...
Wait, you have prestiges in Raynor? Aren't really that great. I don't know, I kind of like Rough Rider. Rough Rider is kind of a straight up buff to Raynor. Because you can still play Bio, but now you also have options for better mech. And Rebel Raider is a pretty fun one. Because if you can macro up, you can have basically no cooldowns on your Hyperion and your Duskwings.
To mention, if I'm gonna be honest. Next up, we have Egon Stetman, the fuse of all commanders. You have the price of Protoss units, human upgrades of all. To mention, if I'm gonna be honest. Next up, we have Egon Stetman, the fuse of all commanders. You have the price of Protoss units.
The price of Protoss units. I mean, if you meant for the Mecha Battle Carrier Lords, then I guess it's justified. But his Zerglings cost the same amount as Kerrigans, don't they? And his Infestors aren't too... Well, they're gas intensive, but they aren't that much more expensive than regular Infestors. Are they? I have to look into this.
Human upgrades.
Good point. Good point on talking about the cost. Because, yeah, the Mecha Battle Carrier Lords are really expensive, but I'm not sure if that applies to every unit that Stetboy has. I think they're like reasonable for the most part.
While simultaneously having Zerg units. Now, he is he definitely is an interesting case because he plays the support role. He has
Oh man. You know, I mentally prepared myself. After hearing where he put Raynor and Kerrigan, I mentally prepared myself into thinking, okay, this guy's gonna rank Stetboy low because he can't play the commanders well. He doesn't know how to use the commanders. But man, it still hits different when you actually hear it. Stetboy is one of the best commanders in the game, even without prestige. Because you have Super Duper Gary who can, like, just carry the game from 4 minutes on. And then you can support that with Zerglings that never die. Because they have the hardened shields from the Wings of Liberty Immortals. You have Infestors that can literally spam free units if you use hotkeys at all. You have Ultralisks that can eat mechanical air for breakfast. But man, it still hits different actually hearing him like put down one of the strongest commanders in the game. It hurts, guys. It really hurts.
Has some very strong units. I'm talking about you, Mecha Hydralisks, with your goddamn missile launchers on your back, as if you already didn't have enough range power already. You know what? I'll fix this. There we are. So
he added a tier. Support only. Below meh. He put Stetboy below Raynor.
Support only. He is a very strong...
Oh man, this guy doesn't know how to use... This guy can't micro, and this guy doesn't use hotkeys. That's why he put Stetboy on there. He probably doesn't spread Studlights either. Because that requires macro.
Commander, but he has a lot of synergy with other commanders, giving healing to expensive troops to keep them alive, or giving massive speed boosts to swarms of troops. So he has a lot of versatility with his support, but his units,
he does
a little bit of a lackluster.
He does spread stat zone.
Next,
is he a bit lackluster? No, that's just flat out untrue. Come on, man. That's just flat out untrue. Zerglings are amazing if you get that shield upgrade. They basically never die. You can run them into mag mines and widow mines and just not have them die ever. And you can... Yeah, just... Oh man. Infestors? Ultralisks? Hello? Still, it's like my head hurt. Why did I do this? Why did I choose to do this?
Next up, we have Stukov, our favorite Russian, that is able to overwhelm...
Well, yeah, that's true. Stukov is in fact my favorite Russian. I can't think of a Russian who I like more than Stukov. There are probably good Russians out there, but I don't know any of them, you know? Oh, wait. Never mind. Yeah, Vasily Arkapov. He's my favorite Russian. Wait, he's Soviet. He was Soviet, but he was my favorite Russian.
Massive numbers.
Google Vasily Arkapov if you don't know. Cuban Missile Crisis.
Of very, very cheap units. Arguably more cheaper than everyone else. However, very limited in their duration. If you want something long-lasting, you of course have his Diamondbacks. Now, normally, Diamondbacks are laser tanks, laser hover tanks essentially, that are able to shoot and move at the exact same time. Now, they're infested, which means they're literal shit.
Oh, man. Now I'm gonna have that in my video. Oh, man.
No, I mean like literally, they're shit. They spray shit at enemies. They are able to do it so effectively that they're able to not only kill units with shit, they're able to clog enemy flying units, no matter if it's wings, turbines, or engines, with shit to make them ground units to then cover them in shit. So I definitely think with this unique case, there's only one thing you can actually do. Shit.
My goodness. Okay. Wow.
And there is justice. Next up we
Okay, that's a meme. I can immediately understand why it would rank Stukov so high. It all makes sense now. Like the 0 micro units are way up there, or the 0 micro commanders are way up there, and the commanders that actually require control are way down there. I can actually see why. This tier list now makes so much more sense. Like, if you don't need micro or macro or any skill at all to win, you're up there for his tier list. If you need any bit of skill at all, like if you need hotkeys to use your units effectively, you're down there. Because who needs hotkeys, right?
We have Swan. Now, to boost his ego for being, short, he definitely has a bit of a stature increase. I don't care if I cut off his head in the image, it doesn't matter. Now, Swan, like Karax, is a defensive hero, and I definitely think he belongs in the same category because he has a little bit of more offensive power, but he has slightly less defensive power compared.
Slightly less? My goodness. No. Use your blaster billies, get the upgrades, and get siege tanks. Swan has better defense than Karax because he has Splash without prestigious. He also has the laser drill, which would be great on offense. He has I should have known. He doesn't use siege tanks in Hercules. Oh man. Yeah, definitely should change this to Starcraft 2 Commander tier list for beginners or for lower tier players, because the people who would find this useful are those who, you know, don't use hotkeys. I should probably make one tier list myself, just to, because this is dangerous. If you're a beginner and you use these commanders because you follow this guide, you will be thoroughly misled. Like, you'll end up thinking that Kerrigan's a bad commander. You'll end up thinking Stetboy's a bad commander, even though those two are some of the best. Man.
Compared to Karax, definitely. Tychus, a hero that works.
He's gonna be, without thinking, he's gonna be in the strong tier. Or actually, he doesn't require micro at all. I'm gonna say this guy's gonna put him in better than everyone else. Haha.
Very uniquely compared to everyone else. He has heroes, and all of them are individual commanders, all with individual upgrades that are quite expensive at times, especially when you need to get all of the upgrades.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This guy doesn't get upgrades either. Oh man, so he's gonna be demoted to just strong, isn't he? Because the outlaws are still strong without upgrades, but with upgrades they're incredibly strong.
Which is, whew, it's pricey. Definitely pricey. He has a lot of versatility and very, very customizable. Even though you can't choose whether to not have Tychus in your field, he's almost a mandatory choice anyways, so I can't really get him for that. So I would definitely say that he's not high tier.
Someone kill me. He's not high tier. How bad do you have to be to not realize that Tychus is strong? I mean, sure, he's not the strongest, but any mediocre level player can at least get upgrades for Tychus.
Yeah, I would say that he is definitely in the strong.
Okay,
because
okay, he lucked into that one, but I don't know. I mean, the strong tier looks good, but I wouldn't put him in the same tier. Well, maybe with prestigious, yeah, he is in the same tier as Abathur, but
he does have some major drawbacks to his powerful kit. Next up, we have Vorzin, our third last commander of the 18th. And
Vorzin, let me see. It will highly depend on whether... Because Vorzin is a very good attack move army. He has a very good attack move army, but they require upgrades. You need to get the Shadow Fury upgrade for Dark Templar. I'm not sure if he does get that. You need to get the cloaking and the disruption web upgrade for the Corsairs. But most of all, you need to macro up, because without macro, you're not going to have enough of an army. Because unlike Phoenix, Vorzin actually requires going up the tech tree. So I'm afraid that he's going to put Vorzin in the same tier as Raynor. But with top bars, with Time Stop and Black Hole, I can see that he would put Vorzin in meh-ish, where Vorzin should not be. Vorzin is like Vorzin used to be the strongest commander before Black Death was introduced, but now I would put her in like above average.
Vorzin is all about damage, but through non-conventional means. See, all of her units are basically glass cannons. They hit super
That's also true.
hard, are super expensive.
He's spitting out facts now. This is a fact. Maybe I should change the name of this video from reacting to a commander tier list to fact checking a commander tier list. Maybe that's what I should call of this video.
Duh, Protoss. But she does have cloaking. Now this of course is completely foiled when there's detection units at play, which is pretty damn terrible.
That's not why cloaking is. That's not why her cloaking is good. Her cloaking is good because that gives her extra regen, and that gives her death recall.
Mass Dark Templars and Max Void Rays is some of the most hilarious things that you can pull off in this.
A warning against Mass Void Rays, very good at lower levels, lower difficulties, where the enemy doesn't have splash. But when you're playing mutations and you are on brutal difficulty, definitely be careful where you choose to go Void Rays, because those things are very susceptible to clumping up and then receiving billions of tons of splash damage. So, yeah, you want to use Void Rays against enemy compositions where you know there aren't splash, like for example, Bio, Robo Colossus, Skytoss, Carrier, and Skytoss Tempest. That's the time where you want to go for Mass Void Rays. But for, you know, if you're going up against enemy combos with Vipers, Thors, Infestors, Ravens, I guess Ravens also make Void Rays dangerous, but yeah, if you're going up against those compositions with heavy splash, heavy air splash, do not get Void Rays, otherwise you'll have a terrible day. Also Psystorm. They can spam Psystorm on top of your Void Rays, and they'll take a lot of damage. Like, they can eat one storm, but the way co-op works is that you'll be, if you're fighting against a gateway composition, you'll be getting stormed over and over again, and that's not very good for your health. So yeah, I would avoid Void Rays if you're going up against a Psystorm composition.
Game by far, because it's rather you're doing extreme amount of damage at long range and enemies can't hit you because you're cloaked, or you're swarming the enemy, basically teleporting in, hitting everything once, and everything dies. Yeah, that's the thing. And don't even get me started on the ability to stop time. Her units are even more costly compared to other Protoss units.
I agree with that. Time stop is one of the best.
So I would definitely think that she belongs in... Oh, shoot, I moved the where? Here? Yes, here. I would say that she definitely... Where? Hold on. There it is, Vorzin. I think she definitely belongs in the not good but not bad.
Called it. Oh, wait. No. I actually thought he would put Vorzin in the... Wait, what did I say he would put Vorzin? But he actually lucked into it. Like, that's where I would put Vorzin as well. In the above average tier. He kind of lucked into it. Although, I would say lucked into it. Like, some of the reasons he gave are true. Maxed out Vorzin army is really strong. He's susceptible to splash. Yeah, sure. You know what? Yeah, I would say that you put Vorzin in a good tier. I respect that.
Bad territory in the sense that she does have a lot of offensive capabilities, but her defensive capabilities on cloaking are so reliant on not dealing with detection, it's almost impossible to use that cloaking mechanic on higher difficulties, which most people play. Next up, we have Zagara, and Zagara is probably the most entertaining commander to play by far.
I mean, depends on what your entertainment is, but I can see why. Banelings are pretty fun.
She has some tanky units, but you're mainly playing suicidal units.
That's true.
Mass Banelings or mass Scourges.
That's true.
Even her tanky units are literally able to create suicidal units.
Facts.
But out of all of these one-use units, real beauty of her is when you're not dealing with air units, which is one of her weaknesses by far.
What?
Of her is when you're not dealing with air units, which is one of her crippling weaknesses by far.
Well, she is weak against anti-air, but pre-mastery. Once you hit mastery, Scourge are pretty effective.
Mass using Zerglings, specifically Swarmlings, that aren't exactly super hard hitting, but overwhelm in sheer numbers.
That's
Added
true.
the Infested Frenzy from her hero unit herself, and she becomes an absolute menace as a purple cloud.
Did he say Infested Frenzy? It's Mass Frenzy, right?
Floats over the enemy base. It's there. The moment the cloud passes, there's no more Zerglings because they're all dead. But the base is gone as well, and there's literally no evidence left over. So I would say that she definitely has,
that's good.
Much like
That's
Abathur,
a good one.
She has extremely strong capabilities.
I should have guessed.
Has a lack of anti-air.
I should have guessed. I should have guessed that he would put Zagara there. Like, yeah, his tier list makes way more sense if you think about who requires the least effort to play. This tier list makes sense now. Yeah, you need effort to play Stetboy, you need effort to play Kerrigan, you need effort to play Raynor and Nova, but you need zero effort to play Stukov and Zagara. It makes sense. This tier list makes way more sense now.
Unless if you're going all anti-air, then she's super powerful against that. But then she's also not that great at structures and ground units, which is also a bit of a big issue as well. You know what?
Structures and ground units? Banelings!
You understand. The last of our commanders, and probably one of the most entertaining as well, by far.
One of the most... You cannot say by far if it's only one of, you know? You can't use one of and by far in the same referring to the same thing. Or can you?
In his mechanics. See, Zeratul works very differently than every other commander. His most powerful by far is that even though, like Nova, his units are extremely expensive, limited population space, but are super high damaging, extremely tanky, extremely strong. And overall, his ability to get free upgrades for his units as well, because, take that Nova and Tygus, but it does have a heavy reliance on economy, but he also gets bonuses to those economies as well, giving not only automatic gas production, but also free gas production on every single base. Definitely a...
Zeratul doesn't require a lot of effort to play. I would guess he would put him in the strong tier. Or rather, wait. What weaknesses does Zeratul have? I think he might put him in the better than everyone else tier. Because Zagara is weak to level with, but Zeratul is strong even when you level him up.
Buy one, get two for free deal. And I would say that he definitely belongs in the S tier. And that is about it, ladies and gentlemen. Take another good look at the list.
I don't want to look at it. Get it away.
This has most likely
I don't want to look at it.
And I'll
offended someone. Try anyone who's played this game and actually knows what they're doing.
most likely responding to it very soon in the comments below. Then again, this tier list has been kind of a mix between an actual proper strategic listing of all commanders, and half of it has also been a shitpost.
Okay, that makes way more sense. Okay. He did give the clarification in the end that it was kind of a joke post. In that context, then, you know what? Yeah, this post kind of does it. Although, I could kind of see where his rankings came in. I would rename this StarCraft 2 Commander tier list for beginners, or StarCraft 2 Commander tier list for people who don't micro, or people who don't play RTS games. Maybe for tier list for, I wouldn't even say Bronze Leaguers, because Bronze Leaguers in 1v1 probably at least use hotkeys. Yeah, Commander tier list for lower level players. Which isn't a slight, because, yeah, a lot of players are lower level players, and, I mean, this will be applicable to them. Like, if you can't micro at all, then Kerrigan will probably not be that great. If you can't macro or get upgrades at all, or spread your satellite, or, you know, get the Immortal Barrier upgrade, then you probably won't like Statboy. I assume one of the other reasons he doesn't like Statboy is because of the stat lag. A lot of players dislike Statboy because of that, and it's kind of not the commander's fault per se. It's the way the engine is run. It's the way he's programmed that makes units lag when they're crossing in and out of the stat zones, and that's really not a Statboy problem. That's a that's a developer problem. That's an engine problem, the way StarCraft 2 is run. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that he put Phoenix way up there. I can't imagine why he would put Phoenix way up there without prestigious, honestly. The only justification he gave is that Phoenix leads his... I guess that's the meme part of it, right? He leads his army personally to fight into battle, and then he can skip the tech tree better than everyone else. Okay, now this list makes way more sense. Yeah, this is probably a joke. Arcturus is probably a joke. He gave no justification. Kerrigan's definitely a joke. She's really strong. Nova is a joke. She should be way up here. Swan, I mean, just the image of Swan is a joke in itself. Probably should be lower. But although I think he's really serious about where he puts Stukov. He actually he's probably serious about that, because the guy probably doesn't micro, so he just sends his army, and he wins. Oh man, I feel like I should make a tier list of my own without prestigious. But it's already an hour and 7 minutes into the video, guys. If you want to see the tiers for yourself, go visit Toxicspill's channel. But take this list with a grain of salt. He did give the caveat that he made this list because man's gotta eat, and he did put in the another caveat at the end saying that it's kind of a joke post, so he doesn't really yeah, maybe don't take this too seriously. Like it would have been nice if he put the "don't take this too seriously" at the beginning of the post. Then I would have seen it. I got debated, man. I got debated by this tier list. I thought it was serious, but yeah. Now that he gave the caveat, it all makes sense now. Okay, yeah.
So, who can tell? Anyways, if you absolutely love this...
Okay, guys. I took this list way too seriously. I probably should have watched the part near the end where he said that it's kind of a joke post, so that I wouldn't get triggered so much. Okay, yeah. If in that context, then yeah, this is a pretty fun, but probably one that didn't deserve my criticism, because it was in fact partly a joke list. Well, similar to how we didn't give the warning at the beginning, I wouldn't give my warning either, that I'm probably way too triggered by this post than I should be, because I didn't realize that it was mostly a joke post. Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed that though. Yeah. Go check out Toxicspill's video if you haven't yet, to, you know, make sure that you appreciate the way he edits his videos, because in all honesty, his videos are edited way better than my own. My videos basically have no editing, and they're just, you know, straight up gameplay. And I wish I could do some more editing on my own, but I just don't have time. And I don't know anyone who I could hire to edit my videos or how to work with them. And yeah, that's probably it. Anyway, guys, I will see you next time for more videos.